So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. And it's the morning. Well, actually, it's the evening, isn't it? Evening, Monday evening, and we're going to be having like a regular fixture Monday evening. I'm going to have my good friend James Rowe talking about some Europa League action and just previewing our next game. And of course, I've got my
Hello.
brother back as well. He's been doubling up. Welcome back, Raz and James.
Cheers.
And it's going to be an interesting one. Again, whoever's watching now, let's just try and keep on task. I've just seen some live comments in regards to our number 10. And David, our moderator, is trying to remind everyone that we need to try and move on from Mesut Ozil. But whether it's going to fall on dead ears, let's wait and see. But I shall see you on the other side of this music intro. Yes. Welcome back to the evening segment now. Monday over here. It's just a few minutes after 7 p.m. I've got James Rowe and I've got my brother back. Usually now, I think it's going to be a regular feature. If that's okay with James, we'll be talking about Europa League football every Monday night. Again, we're going to try and keep it on task. Please.
That's going to be a rather challenging
Yeah,
period. I think it's a tall order. It's a tall order.
I think we need to tip our hat to David, and obviously
Yes,
And
with
Monty.
what you've done
Yes.
before. So before we start, I tip my hat in the direction of David and Monty as well with their with the moderating. They do a very good job.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Here. And may continue for another 3 or 4 more years. But I've got to say as well, I do need to send David a gift. I know with Monty, we sent him a gift, a bit of merchandise from our store, just a sign of thank you, because these guys are doing it out of the kindness of their own hearts. We're not paying them; they're volunteering to do the job. So I think it would only be kind and right if we send them like a little bit of merchandise as well. Before we get into this one, I know we did cover this bit of news this morning with my brother Ralph. This young chap here who has lost his life, Jeremy Winston, former Man City youth team player, has passed away at age 17. Now, I've seen some variations of, how he came to a sorry end, but I'm not going to go into the fine details. All I am going to say is that everyone on Cannon Fodder TV, to his family, we are with you. Please accept our condolences. There's no right time to lose anybody, much less someone who's aged just 17. But it's really, really sad. So again, from everyone from Cannon Fodder TV to his family, please, accept our condolences. Nothing more than that, really, I can say.
Yeah.
So Europa League action, James. Well, last time we spoke, we were going to be in action against Rapid Vienna. And what happened?
And the games come thick and fast, and now it's Dundalk. And it's not Champions League, it's not Bayern Munich, it's not Monaco, it's Dundalk of Ireland. And they lost their first game against Molde 3-1. I think they were 1-0 up as well. We need to respect them as we need to every opponent. We're struggling at the minute. No game is easy. We're struggling domestically, and we have to take them seriously, and we have to try to win the game. But it's funny how UEFA do the arranging of the European fixtures. And to give you an example, here in the Netherlands, RZ Alkmaar won in Naples against Napoli with 13 COVID cases in their squad. And then they lost their subsequent league match in the Eredivisie away to ADO Den Haag. So it just goes to show the repercussions and ramifications of such a busy schedule. But Arsenal have got an opportunity to get a win on the board after 2 defeats, and hopefully we can build slowly and surely. But it doesn't matter for me personally if we win, if we don't. Our problems at this football club are bigger than a manager, bigger than a number 10, bigger than a squad, bigger than a player. Our biggest problem at the moment is the owner that we have. I tweeted out after the game about Stan Kroenke, and I received strange comments from people saying Kroenke didn't play last night. Kroenke's not the problem. We have an owner where we are not his priority. And like anything in life, if you own something and you don't look after it, it can start to decay. And LA Rams are his priority, not Arsenal. I mean, I saw a great tweet from Terry, who's also a well-known familiar face on Cannon Fodder and provides great insight, where he said that he thinks maybe Kroenke's holding on for a potential European Super League to kind of bank that money. And we're just, in terms of ownership and custodianship as well, we are in dire straits. It reminds me very much of Hicks and Gillette at Liverpool, where it's always very much jam tomorrow, you know, a club living off former glories. And Liverpool literally had to fight a very bloody death to get them out. And I think Arsenal are going to have to do the same. Because, you know, people talk about the number 10 situation. People talk about the manager and the players. The fact remains, guys, in my opinion, our club is not being run properly. I mean, you've both been supporting Arsenal a lot longer than what I have. And we have, as a collective tonight, as the three of us, an awful lot of experience supporting this club, watching this club and loving this club. And at the moment, it's not being run properly. And hopefully something will change. But as I said to you on the last podcast, the richest man in Africa, Dangote, hopefully he will come in. But we need someone who's going to care about this football club. And what I mean by care doesn't mean putting your hand in your pocket and spending the money. Care means to look at all the facets of the football club and making sure that it's running to the best of its ability. The youth setup, the budgets, the wages, the contracts, everything. I'm sure Kroenke doesn't even know about these things. And this is what I mean about the club not being run properly. And I think we're in for a very long winter of discontent, in my opinion.
Ralph, your thoughts? Because again, you know, we've spoken many times with James in regards to the last bit of European silverware. Where were you when we won in '94? I can't remember. Where were you?
I responded to James actually. I said that how I was moving to Highbury.
Moving flat. Yeah,
I was moving to our grand's flat. Was expecting our eldest at the time, and it was moving boxes in between watching the match, and trust me, nobody gave us a chance. We was playing against Parma.
Yeah.
Nobody gave us a chance, and the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, like, you know, if we can just score early, then maybe we might be able to hang on. And when Alan Smith smashed up, it was one of the Parma defenders that did a wonderful clearance, a bicycle kick, but it went to Alan Smith and he chested it and he volleyed it and he come off the post.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that night, me and my partner at the time, and it was a sister-in-law, we drove down to Highbury. I was driving the white van, and it was crazy. It was crazy times. But yeah, that was that's my overall experience. But what James has put so eloquently, as always, is the fact about the way that the club is run. Arsenal has always had, you know, really challenging, tough times. And somehow we always just managed to bypass it. But I think we bypassed it because we always had somebody an owner who was ready to invest when it was time to invest. This thing about Arsenal doing things the right way, that is where the class and the standards were. And when David Dean was there, I have to say David Dean, because he identified what we needed. And you like pretty much what James just said. It reminds me now that I've got to go to my car and tidy it up because I've got to look after it properly. But it's true. It's true. You know, when you value something, you look after it. And the overall look of Kroenke is the fact that he is not there, or when he's there, he's only there at the end of the season. When we're at FA Cup final or whatever it is, the overall presence of an owner is the fact that you're there, you do your talk. Why can't he's known as Silent Stand and for a reason. But this was the same guy who was almost nearly in tears when the LA Rams were going to the Super Bowl. So he's not silent. You know where he's putting all his energies in, and he's putting all his energies into the LA Rams. Now the fans of LA Rams will tell you about how they were. I believe they were originally based, I think, somewhere in New Orleans. I believe. I may have that completely wrong, but the fans there were so angry at the fact that he moved the team from one location to their present location. It was a big furore. His name is pretty much dirt to those loyal fans. Now look at us. Look at the similarities. We was in Highbury. The only thing that stopped that Mace had to move from Highbury to the Emirates is the fact that the Islington Council wasn't going to give us permission to build an extension to make the stadium a lot taller. And of course, you had the local residents as well who probably petitioned against that as well. So we had to move. Well, I say we had to move. It seemed that we had to move, but everybody knows how Highbury is. Everybody knows that stadium. That when teams came to visit, that was, oh my God, we're going to Highbury. That's the fear factor. Where I live, it's not more than about maybe 600-700 yards away from the Principality Stadium. And that's rugby. When the roof is closed, it's an intimidating stadium. It's an intimidating stadium because it's surrounded by a little moat around it as well. So you know where you're heading. It's all about fear factor. We don't have that fear factor. We have a chair, an owner who doesn't really care, and it's born. You can see it from top to bottom. How could the players play for a club when the owner is not really there or doesn't even talk to them?
Sorry, go on, James. Go.
It just goes to show how comfortable the players are. The players are too comfortable. They've literally got it made. There's no pressure. There's no ramification. If you play poorly, you don't get drops. You only had to look at Leno's comments at Anfield when, okay, he had a fantastic game, but there is no reason to come out with comments of, I am the number one, I proved I'm the number one, I will remain the number one. Okay, if you say those comments, what are Runnison and Matt Macy supposed to think about you? Because it's a team game, it's a squad game. They must hear those comments and think, well, I haven't got no chance. It's a team game, and Arsenal, we're not a team. We're a scattering of nationalities from all over the world. When you've got the likes of Willian and Gabriel and Louise wanting to tempt Oscar to sign for Arsenal, so the players running the club, are they? Are the lunatics running the asylum? I was maligned and hung, drawn and quartered when I suggested Arsenal making Chris Wilder the successor to Unai Emery. I was lambasted and people wanted to cart me off to the funny farm. Okay, Sheffield United are having a very strange time at the moment, but they've got a manager. It's about hard work ethic and working together as a team and working for one another. Arsenal current players don't recognise those qualities. They don't recognise those qualities. I don't think any of those qualities have ever been asked of those players before. So how can they be expected to do it in this current climate? And Arteta as well doesn't have a lot of experience. You're starting out your managerial career with the third biggest club in English football. This is not Championship Manager where you can just turn the PC off when you've had enough. This is real life. And for the younger players as well, Daniel Ballard's at Blackpool, Mark McGuinness is at Ipswich, Zach Medley's at Gillingham. We've neglected our youth setup. We talk about Rocky Rocastle, Michael Thomas, David O'Leary, Tony Adams. They're some of the greatest players we've ever had. Emil Smith-Rowe, does he have a squad number still? Is he involved in squads? I remember an interview I did with Warren Feeney, who is now managing in Bulgaria, played for Luton Town, and also had a good career at different levels. And I remember when he was playing under Roberto Martinez, when he was, and he scored a brace in a game once, and he was dropped for the midweek match. And he went to Martinez's office and he said, I scored a brace last weekend. What are you dropping me for? And Roberto Martinez's response was, you're a striker. You only think about yourself. I have to think about the whole team, whole interest of the entire team. And the facets of man management as well is that a lot of fans don't seem to understand. I mean, being on this podcast in particular, one of the great things about it, especially with the subscribers you have now and the volume that's gone up, is that a lot of Arsenal fans can understand the standards that you guys have upheld since day one, because standards reflect in terms of the podcast, in terms of the people that you have on, and the core group that we have. And I just think at Arsenal, as Ralph says, we used to have such great standards. I mean, and one thing that really upsets me now is when I was a young Arsenal fan, in my formative years, you would listen to your elders. You would listen to other fans. Even if you didn't agree, you would find common grounds. And now it's the complete opposite, where I, as a football writer of over 250 interviews with professional players and managers in the last 4 years, I do not give my opinion on my timeline anymore, because it opens up for far too much criticism where you present with facts and figures to fans and they're not interested. So you tell them about a Mark Albrighton already being a fantastic player ever since his Villa days, a Premier League winner. But oh no, he's useless, he's rubbish. Mark Albrighton's a fantastic player, along with other great players that Leicester have, because Leicester have an owner who care. We don't. And it's going to be a long old road. And, you know, I look back with how lucky we were to win the doubles in 98 and 2002. And we haven't won the league for 16 years. And it's going to be a long time before we win it again. And, you know, this simply isn't the case of a managerial change or a formation change. We need a clean sweep from top to bottom. And the club needs to be run properly, and only then can we start to think to lay the foundations to get back to former glories. That's exactly what Liverpool did. Liverpool were in dire straits with Hicks and Gillette, also American owners, literally in dire straits, but they managed to get them out. And with the Fenway Group, look at them now. It's complete night and day. Why can't we use them as a blueprint? Why can't we look and think, well, they did that. That's what we need to do. But, yeah, it's going to be a long season. And I think the ignorance towards other clubs as well. Leeds United with Bielsa. I sent Alex the document. I sent Alex the documentary on the WhatsApp chat. I'm jealous as hell.
Documentary.
I'm jealous, completely jealous of Leeds. I'm jealous of an owner that actually cares. I'm jealous of a truly world-class manager who hasn't gone out and spent. He's made the likes of Calvin Phillips, who was lambasted by Leeds fans the season before he arrived. They all thought he was useless. He's made him into an international player. And this is a manager who's doing everything in his mother tongue. This is an Argentinian man coaching in a foreign country and doing tremendous things. So in an age of rising xenophobia as well, you need to take your hat off to someone who's literally, if it wasn't for Bielsa, Guardiola, Simeone, Pochettino, none of them would be managers. They all went to him because he inspires, he makes players want to become managers and go off in their own way. And we play Leeds in a couple of weeks' time, and you know, I'd bet my house we're not going to win that game in particular.
If I can adding just quickly about, you know, we started the segment pretty much about Kroenke. I think I'm going to be giving some Chelsea fans a bit of a hands up here. I remember, I think in the early 90s, when Matthew Harding, if you want to look at like a typical owner, when he was the owner at Chelsea, owner or chairman, I'm not sure which, but he was someone who was a typical supporter. He'd be in the stands. He didn't want to be in the press, in the chairman's box, as it were. He stood amongst the Chelsea fans because he believed that, you know, in every kind of finances that he wanted to put into the club, he backed it. He did the what I feel is just really the basics. If you love something, then you show your appreciation. You put your hand in your pocket, but you also question the manager as well. And then when unfortunately he passed away, you had somebody coming in and totally revolutionized finances. That's Abramovich. He came in, but he's still a manager. Sorry, he's still an owner who's willing to put his hand in his pockets. But he got the best managers to pull Chelsea up. We've got Kroenke, who's within that time. We had little peaks, but we seem to have more troughs, unfortunately, while he's there. So your point about having an owner who cares and who's willing to put his hands, but is also willing to challenge the manager is a valid point, James.
But you know, sorry, go on, James. Sorry, go on.
But it's not just about putting your hand in your pocket, Ralph. It's It's also common sense. It's also common sense. I mean, I was chatting to my best friend in England yesterday, and I said, with the amount of young players that don't get a look in at Arsenal, what's the point of having a youth academy? What is the point of training up those young players from the age of 6 to 17, 18? Why have them for Arsenal for more than a decade? And I go back to my interview with Charlie Gilmore when he said that when you are at Arsenal, everything is handed to you on a plate. You are given the best coaches, you are looked after, you are given a fantastic footballing education. And then when you go to leave Arsenal, you've got Championship clubs and Premier League clubs not wanting to take a risk on a young boy in a man's game. I mean, our youth policy costs us a lot of money. There's been an upgrade at Hale End to the tune of £40 million. Well, let's see some fruits of those loins. Isaac Alkmaar here in the Netherlands did exactly the same, and the likes of Kob Mainers and Calvin Stings and Myron Boadu, they're all in at the top of their game, playing for RZ. And they're all in with a chance of making significant progression in their careers. We have an international in Daniel Ballard. Okay, Northern Ireland don't have the biggest pool of players upon which to choose from, but he's already an international footballer. But he's nowhere near Arsenal's team. But according to the majority of Arsenal fans, he's not good enough to play for Arsenal. He is good enough to play for Arsenal. He's good enough to play international football. So why not give him a chance? Why persist with him? Yeah, but what risk? We're not going to win the league anytime soon, Ralph.
I get that. I think what the perception with some fans is the fact that we feel as if we've been patient enough. We're trying to go with this process, but hang a minute now. While we're trying to go with this process, our competitors are already ahead. So how are we going to catch up? The patience part. Quite rightly, when we had the Paul Davis and the Michael Thomas and the Dave Castles, when they came in, the team was just establishing themselves, and there was proper direction, and there was proper discipline and focus, consistency, and they all battle for each other. This is one of the things that seems to be missing in this present group. But you can't get that if you're not willing to trust the youngsters who's coming in, who's been playing, who's been on loan, who've come back in again. It's quite right. It's almost like we've created a glass ceiling. It's okay, youngsters, come play for us, but the chance of you actually coming into the Premiership, into the first team, is going to be so much difficult because our fans are not patient. They're not supporting. I'm not saying for everyone. I'm just saying how that's the perception that it seems. We seem to be rather impatient because we want to get there rather than think, hang on now, let's try and go through the proper process. Let's introduce the youngsters when our top players are not performing, put them in regardless. But we have to be patient because if we're not patient, we're back here next season, the same spot.
But you think of the pride involved, specifically the older generation of Arsenal fans, and I include myself in that. How much pride would there be if we had three or four from our own academy playing every single game, and instead of buying stars in inverted commas, we're making them. We're making them. You spend here in the Netherlands, if young players move to rival clubs, the club has to pay a form of compensation for the money that the parent club spent training that player up. So that just goes to show. And we've got some really good players in our youth academy. We've always had a great youth academy, but we've neglected it. Completely neglected it. And to finish my last point on this, you talk about the likes of Davis and Mickey Thomas and David Rocastle. I spoke to Kevin Campbell back in April of this year, and Kevin Campbell said to me, you know, but he broke through at a time when, you know, Niall Quinn, Tony Adams, Paul Merson had just broken through, so he could see the pathway was opening up. But under George Graham, he had a fantastic teacher who would actually teach and coach in the game. You know, coach out the bad habits, give people opportunities. And, you know, you think of the pride. I mean, I've been supporting this club for more than 30 years. And the Cup Winners' Cup win in 1994 and the era of George Graham, it was my formative years. But I look back on it with such joy. I mean, you could argue, along with Herbert Chapman, perhaps George Graham was the best manager we had. You could argue that in terms of setting the foundation for the proper Arsenal that we all know and love. Of course, Arsene Wenger was amazing, but, you know, 22 years, 12 years, extremely good, and then 8 years of going through the motions. You know, we had 8 years under George Graham and winning trophies, and the pride involved. There's no pride at Arsenal anymore, and also for the fans as well to downgrade certain fans and to think they know better. We are just fans, is what we are. And maybe I'm old-fashioned, but it's important to listen to other fans. And if you can't agree, as the old adage goes, agree to disagree. And unfortunately, I know people find that strange this day and age, but, you know, life is short, and we've got to try to enjoy our time. And we all want the same things. We're all wearing that badge with pride, but at the minute, it's very strange times.
Yeah, but you know, James, those players that you mentioned, you know, Mark McGuinness is at Ipswich, Zach Medley, Dan Ballard, they wouldn't have looked out of place last night.
No,
they would not have.
And they probably would have done better. I mean, you imagine Daniel Ballard. You imagine going away to Bucharest and playing in the Nations League, which resumes in 2 weeks' time again. Going away to Bucharest, playing in the Nations League, and being capped by your country, but not playing for your club. And what is your reward? What is your reward? You get loaned out to Blackpool with the greatest respect to Blackpool, with the likes of Stanley Matthews and obviously the Premier League season with Ian Holloway and Charlie Adam and Bloomfield Road, a lovely old stadium. That is his reward. He should be playing for Arsenal. People talk about Gabriel. Gabriel before Lille was playing for Dynamo Zagreb and Troyes. So 1 minute you're playing for Dynamo Zagreb, next minute you're playing for Troyes, next minute you're playing for Arsenal. Pablo Mari was playing for NAC Breda here in the Netherlands, went to Flamenco, is now playing for Arsenal. We are in the middle of a worldwide pandemic where people are struggling, countries are struggling. It's irresponsible to go out and spend money on defenders when you've already got 11, excluding the academy. And a real owner who is a proactive owner would know these things, would be aware, wouldn't be living from a distance. He would say, right, okay, before that check clears, I'm not giving you any money because we've already got 11 defenders. It's your job to coach them to the best of your ability. But I feel for our young players because it's, I mean, I remember when I spoke to Sanchez Watt, I remember something he said to me, which I wanted to say on this podcast in particular. Sanchez Watt was playing League Cup games for Arsenal in the 2008-2009 season. And he said something which really stuck with me. He was playing League Cup games and he had the opportunity to go on loan to Leeds and he took it. But he said to me that a lot of youth players at that time were more content to just train with the first team than go out on loan and learn their trade. And that just goes to show the mentality of those young players. Sanchez went to Leeds and loved every second of it. Helped to aid his game, went on to have a good career. And if we're not providing a pathway for our young players, that's what we're going to get in the coming years. We're not going to get loans. We're going to get young players, once again, happy to train with the first team. But they're good enough to be professional footballers and they must play. So we've got an awful lot of work to do, which isn't going to happen with a managerial change, isn't going to happen with a formation change. It's only going to happen when the current owner leaves and an owner comes in who is hell-bent on doing things properly. And unfortunately, that seems to be a long way away.
Let me go into the live chat for the first time. Got Kennedy who says, we need someone to take us to the promised land. Arsenal teams has become a laughing stock. We are lacking leadership in our team, poor coaching, no vision, full of hate towards our players. Sixter says, bring back Ozil. All right, so you said that twice. So I'm going to actually put you on a bit of a timeout. Give some time to think about that. Guys, again, just try and stay on task, okay? I've got my moderator, David, who says we need to move away from this Ozil subject. We can't let him define our season. No more Ozil, please. That subject is worn out. I hope everyone is well. Enjoy your time here with us. Thank you for that, David.
Thank you, David.
D, yeah, go on, James.
Just a question to all the Ozil fans out there and people that are obsessed with Ozil. This is my question to them. Is he bigger and better than Arsenal Football Club? That's my question to them. Is he bigger and better than Arsenal Football Club in their opinion? That is my question to them.
You know, I gave the analogy last week that I have maybe 3 or 4 Arsenal tops, one of which I said to my wife after that one, but don't buy any more tops. I do not have any names on the back of any of the players.
No.
My legend is Liam Brea, but I've never had his name. The one constant is the logo of Arsenal. That's what I've been supporting for the last 42 years. I've been supporting Arsenal. I don't idolize the players. Because players come and go, like my father said to me. But the one constant that you must support is the club. Do not idolize the players. But some people tend to take it to an extreme. I'm sure, like I said to you this morning, Ralph, when our number 10 eventually leaves Arsenal, a lot of people are going to stop following Arsenal and follow our number 10 instead of
Arsenal.
What?
If that's the case, then that's the case. You know what I mean? But you know why I stand with this. You know, I love my club. You know, I've got if I had the time, I'll show you the amount of like magazines and newspaper cuttings, bits of memorabilia that I've got. I've got 3 boxes plus a massive poster, and the tops I've got about 6, 7 tops. Because you notice that I changed from the red one to the yellow one now. But I don't have no names on the back. When I get my daughter a top, it'll have her name on it and a number, and then that's it. But I know. I say my time was pretty much when Rocastle, but it's Ian Wright. I love Wrighty. I got his autobiography. If I'm ever around Ivan and I catch him, I'm gonna fling it to him. I want him to sign it. But that to me, it's always about the club. Charlie George was my ultimate, and again, we had our photographs taken with him, and I from now to a dying day now, I think I actually met one of my idols. But it's the club. I love the club, and if you want to follow a player, and if he's not there at the end of his contract, but you want to follow him to another club, then wicked, cool, that's fine. But for me, it's the club. It's always going to be the club.
I think it's a sign of the times as well, where the football fan now is not enamored with the game like we were enamored with the game. They're more concerned with the player. I think it's a sign of the times. I mean, my Arsenal hero when I was a kid was Paul Merson. And Paul Merson still remains in my top 3 Arsenal players of all time. I remember trying to beat him in the playground, shoot him from distance, trying to get my hair cut like him. you know, and it's just, you know, everything was number 10. You know, everything was number 10, and you know, it's just I met him when I was a very young Arsenal fan. I was about 7 years old, and I still remember even now I was very small, and he knelt down to me and shook my hand, and I couldn't breathe. And then when I come home, I would go to the toilet, and I said to my mum, I said, I'm only washing my left hand. She said, what? I said, I'm only going to wash my left hand. And obviously, it lasted for about a day or two, and then you realise that he's just an amazing footballer. I mean, some of the goals that he scored. I mean, there's a tribute. There's like the 501 clip. It, you know, if Mesut Ozil is scoring some of them goals, people would go do lally. I mean, I remember one of my favourite goals remains the FA Cup game against Leeds, where he whacks it in from about 35 yards. The delicate chip against Everton, the delicate chip against Sheffield Wednesday. You know, Robert Pires is also a favourite of mine. Dennis Bergkamp as well. You know, just an amazing joy. But these were all successful footballers at Arsenal. It wasn't about themselves. You know, Merson came through the youth setup. You know, Dennis Bergkamp, you know, was at Ajax. Robert Pires was at Marseille. So Pires was already at the biggest club in France before he arrived at Arsenal. So he knew how to deal with pressure. But I just think it's a sign. I just think it's a sign of the times. I mean, maybe I'm showing my age here, but when there never used to be a lot of football on TV, so you would watch the games. Like, we're talking about the European Cup Winners' Cup. I remember the whole journey. You know, Odense, Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final, Standard Liège. It's like imprinted on your brain. And I've repeated it on this podcast, and I'll say it again now. That Cup Winners' Cup win means as much to me and is as special as the 98 double, 2002 double, and the Invincibles, and the Cup double of 93, which a lot of people forget, to win both domestic cups in the way we did. You know, we've got so much history, and we're falling away. You know, there's the famous saying, you know, there used to be a football club over there, and I think if we carry on down this vein in a couple of years' time, that's what people will say in the area of North London that we are in, and we need to get our act together, and we need to get our act together quick.
All right, let me go back into the live chat. Ashley D says, told you Vardy would score. 3 managers, same old stuff. We will be lucky to finish in the top 10 this season. Well, I predicted no higher than 6th place this season. I don't care which players Arsenal get in the next transfer window. We're not going to get in the top 4. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Mube Gunnar says, what's up, boys? I'm stressed. Arsenal has me drinking Hennessy on a Monday. Oh, dearie me.
That's not a good sign.
You idolise our number 10 too much.
That's not a good sign, drinking strong on a Monday. Save that for the weekend, bro.
Good evening to Alex, Raz, and James, and all to the Canon Foyer TV family. I hope you're all David, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Big up to Mube in the house. Great. Now FIFA is stressing me out more than Arsenal is.
A very clever one. It's a very clever one.
What is going on? Welcome to Canon Foyer TV. We appreciate you all being here. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. Please enjoy your time with us and like and subscribe to show some love. Thank you. Why is Alex looking at me like he's going to kill me? Really?
Hey,
I don't mean it. Really.
999. I get that. I get that sometimes as well. So don't worry.
Thank you for that, Ralph.
It's all right.
Kennedy says, our team hasn't improved at all. I don't know if we are lacking momentum. Well, we definitely are lacking momentum and cohesion. We have played 6 games, 3 losses. How to see the future of the club? We are not going anywhere. No fighting spirit to the players, James.
Well, if I think it's going to get worse as well. as I say, this isn't just simply about a formation change or a player coming in. This is the whole 9 yards. And we've got Manchester United coming up. We've got Aston Villa coming up. We've got Leeds away and Wolves at home, and it's not easy fixtures, you know. And we're going to have to take it one game at a time. I was vilified when I said that Arsenal would finish 7th, and people, honestly, terrible abuse. But you know what happened to respecting your fellow Gooner? But no, that's gone by the wayside now. The most important thing is to be right, particularly in their own heads, but more for them. But the one thing I'm really curious about is these are the same people that lifted Unai Emery up to the highest heights, only to kick him when he was down. It's possible that Arteta will have an even worse run than Unai Emery. You won't see half the vitriol. You won't see half the hate. Not half of it. But Mikel Arteta is also Spanish. I don't see anyone saying good evening to him. I don't see anybody taking a mickey out of him. And it's still an awful thing to ostracize and criticize someone for trying to speak a foreign language. As someone who's been down that road, if you only knew what it takes to learn a foreign language, you would never say these things. So a lot of it is ignorance. And I speak from experience. I've lived in a foreign country for nearly 15 years and spoken a foreign language for nearly 15 years every day of my life. So I know what I'm talking about. But I do worry, you know, and look at Unai Emery now. You know, Villarreal, they won in Europe 5-3. You know, they had they drew with Cadiz. But for people to write off Cadiz won the second division last season, beat Real Madrid, and at home they're going to be difficult proposition. So they'll drop points yesterday. It's possible that they will play Arsenal in the Europa League, and that will be very, very interesting. But you know, I mean, we are always going to be in the minority as regards to Unai Emery. But this is a question for you both now. If he was still in charge, do you think things would be as bad as they are now?
No,
I don't think so. Neither. What about you, Ralph?
No.
I'm gonna put my hand up, because when we had that 22 run, and then things started to slide, and we had it was like 6 matches that we had to try and get into the top 4, and we blew every match. And then we had that awful night against Chelsea. And then he went into the beginning of the season where it just went pear-shaped, and then everyone was calling for his head. I said, well, okay, I don't understand. And it's something that we if anyone wanted to go back into the videos that we've done, and we've done quite a lot of videos, around that time, that clamour, I put my hand up. I said, yeah, I think it's time for him to go, purely because I thought that we was getting the finished article of a manager. I didn't have the information to hand about all this situation with Ozil or any of the other players who may have contributed to his demise. I was purely acting on the way that the team should have been going forward. So I'll put my hand up to that. I'm complicit, as it were. So now what I'm doing now, I'm a bit more standoffish, as it were, with what's happening. I'm a fan. I do get passionate. I do think that, hang on now, you can't go on a pitch and not perform when you've got fans behind you, when you've got your training in place, when you know who the opposition is, and you feel that you're not feeling it. You know, what I praise about you, James, is the fact that you do look at players in a holistic kind of way. You look at them from the time when they're youngsters who join a club to a time when they can't make it and have to go somewhere else. If you can imagine being young and you want to play, I don't know how I would have been if I was a 6-7-year-old kid want to play for Arsenal, training for Arsenal, and all of a sudden you've been told that you got to go to Leeds or you got to go to Manchester, and you're thinking about your family and everything else. You know, we don't see that. We don't see those bits. We see the players when they're on the pitch. We may be quite fortunate to see them during when we've won a FA Cup or something, or on the odd chance You may see your idol walking down the street and you see them from afar, but you don't think about what they go into. I think we're more able to see how players are reacted, or how a football life has more of an impact on a young player, their mentality, what they go through when they're injured, what they go through when all the highs and the lows. We're seeing more of that now than we would have done behind then. Behind that wall, it was a shroud, and we only saw them performing. We didn't have any of this thing. We didn't have any of this information unless it came out in a book or film or whatever.
Ralph, the thing is, James, we've just been talking about Unai Emery, and I did tell you at that time, we were not as much at loggerheads. You know how I feel about Unai Emery. All right? I did say that we should have given him a lot longer than he was given. It's so unfair that we gave Arsene Wenger 20 odd years, and then the next manager less than 2 years.
Yeah,
so
I agree. I agree with both of you. I agree with any of the fans now. I think hindsight is a wonderful thing, but at the same point, when you are thinking, now what is going wrong with this team? What's going wrong with this team? Why is it that this manager who's won successfully when he was in Spain, he's come over for a short period of time? I would never insult his wants to learn a language. Flipping out, me trying to talk English is difficult, let alone anything else. But my mentality at that time was the fact that it seems to be him, not the players. And what's going on with the players? The players seem to be now, of course, with what's happening, and you can see the similarities of what's happening. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Arteta won't get that kind of rough ride that Unai got, because if anything, it's more so.
He won't. You know what? I mean, James said, we don't hear someone being disrespectful to Mikel Arteta, but James, give the fan base time. Give them time, because even yesterday, when I was doing my live shows, and this morning as well, we were seeing in the live chat, people were saying Arteta out. So give the fan base time. The first sign of trouble, they're so quick to ask for the coach to be shown the door.
Yeah,
these things takes time.
Yeah,
Chris Wilder, his journey.
but
I mean, James has given me so many videos, but look at Chris Wilder's journey. The first sign of trouble in his fan base was so quick to ask the coach to be shown the door.
Yeah,
You've got to give it time. You've got to give it time.
Absolutely, and obviously Sheffield United, they're second from bottom, but they all back Wilder. They all believe in him, and it will come. It will come good. It will come good. The only thing with Wilder is, having spoken to players that have played under him, I think this particular summer he received a lot of money, and I'm not sure he entirely knew what to do with it. In terms of the expectation from outside, how to spend it, it was a little bit strange for him, in my opinion. And going back to the interviews, Ralph, as well, every interview I do, it's always trying to show the human side, because it's very, very important. Whether you are dealing with Jamie Carragher, Simon Barker, Graham Potter, or whether you're dealing with Luke Moore, who plays for Dorking Wanderers, every professional player or manager has a story to tell, and it's about getting the news out there. It's about the small little details. It's about Bob Wilson telling me that after the 1969 Cup final defeat to Swindon, that Frank McClintock is telling that squad, we have got to come back stronger, and we have got to ram this down people's throats. And they did, and they come back and did the double in 71. The likes of Graham Potter telling me that to come out of your comfort zone, to come to another country and start to build. Graham Potter harboured ambitions of taking Östersunds into the Champions League. When you got Danny Cowley telling me that the longer you stay at a football club, you know exactly what you need in terms of personnel, in terms of character. Unai Emery didn't get that opportunity. I was at his last game at Frankfurt when Frankfurt fans were banned, but yet they still were all seated in corporate. I was there when Aubameyang was missing goals. Okay, the goalkeeper Renault had a tremendous game, but Aubameyang comes off the pitch laughing. We've just lost to Frankfurt, but you're laughing. It's all right. and his reward is a huge mega contract. The commercialism side of things, I'm a bit old-fashioned. I always buy a program. I'm looking to buy the program of the Dundalk game. Programs have gone up by £1.50 to £4.99. When fans are not even allowed in attendance, programs have gone up. They've released a new shirt in combination with Pharrell Williams. Pharrell Williams is a musician. He's a musician. What does he have? What does he do with Arsenal? I mean, he's a very good musician, absolutely, but he's a musician. He's not a footballer, and it's trying to milk the fans for every penny they've got. When we are in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, people have to make choices. If you've got the choice between I don't mean to sound dramatic, if you've got the choice of putting food on the table or spending £65 on a shirt which looks like a 1960s tie-dye from San Francisco, if you can get one on San Francisco market for about what, a tenth of the price, maybe. It's choices that people make, isn't it?
Yeah. I concur. It is pretty much more commercialized globalization, as it were, because now we've got, if you saw the segment this morning, Alex and I was talking about videos. I said I don't want to see another Arsenal training video, because all them messing about, I won't say messing about, maybe them laughing and taking it easy and the little triangles and everything else. Yeah. I don't see what they do on the training pitch in real time football. I'm old school. I say I'm even old school than you guys, and Alex would agree with that as well. But the fact is that when I used to play football, regardless of where I was, I'm not saying I'm a superstar, wherever, but the team that I can say hand on heart right now, if I had to assemble the team I used to play with, Dan Hackney Marshes, they would give Arsenal a game, because we took it serious. There was no smiling if you missed a shot. You get lambasted. My goalkeeper talked to me, and I talked to my goalkeeper. I was the captain. I talked from front to back. I told everybody, and if anyone can remember when I play football and they want to say something, they will tell you that I was the one that always told them something, because that's what a captain does. I even took them training as well, so I know what my responsibilities were. To me, that's old school, but that's foundation. That's basic. You're playing for thousands of people, millions of people globally, and you miss a chance, and then you walk off the pitch and you smile. I'll be in your face. I'll be saying to you, what the hell is that all about? Why are you doing laughing? We've just lost 3 points.
We're too comfortable. The players are too comfortable. Let me go back into the live chat just for last time. Too
comfortable from top to bottom.
Yeah. Mube Guna says, as a fan base, we can be very reactionary. I think we are using our youth players more, but the problem I'm having is we still don't know who our best players are. Ralph.
I think we know who the best players are. We're just not using them. We're not using the youngsters. What happened to Ashley Maitland-Niles? What happened to El Neni? What happened to Rhys Nelson? Is Rhys Nelson injured, or is he on loan? Is on loan?
No.
Okay. So we've got youngsters. This is the thing, and James, I'm sure James will testify to this as well. When you're a professional player, you're always looking over your shoulder, because you know if it comes to being injured, being booked, and you're off 3 matches, whatever it is, that the person who's been biting behind you, when they get the chance, when they play well, you're waiting for the manager to say, okay, well, you're back in. Or hang a minute now, that player is doing better. He's doing more things than you did when you was in your position.
Not at Arsenal.
Bit of competition. It's a bit of competition.
Yeah.
So to me,
not at Arsenal.
Yeah, go on. Ralph.
I was going to say was that was to me, that's how it should be. You should not be comfortable thinking that you're a top dog, that I've signed, getting X amount of £1,000 a week. You should be thinking, you know what, I've got to perform, because I don't know what's going to happen in the next match. But if I don't score, or if I let a goal in, or if I'm booked for the 3rd time and put my team, look at Vieira. When Vieira was booked, and he was off. Did the team stop fighting? Everybody knew the responsibilities.
Yeah.
When he came back in, everybody thought, right, we got our team. Our team's complete now. We don't have that fear factor anymore.
Yeah. There's no competition. There's no
No,
competition.
No.
Different characteristics as well, different characters, and
Yeah.
not necessarily in a positive way. To go back to Ralph's point about the videos, I sent a video to Alex a couple of months ago of Chris Wilder going to a place in Sheffield called St Wilfs, and it was a place which helped vulnerable adults and taught them life skills, everything from cooking to social interaction to helping them. And he spent hours with them playing pool, playing snooker, taking photos, listening to them, complimenting them. And these are adults who, I'm sure when they receive such compliments from such a man, that makes them feel better. These are people that are maybe marginalised in society. Well, you don't see Arsenal doing things like that. But Alex replied to me on that video was Arsenal have a great media machine. And when you look around to Chris Wilder going to a place like St Wilfs, learning about what they do, asking questions about what they do and mixing with the people. There's no distance into, obviously this is before COVID, but being involved with them, making them feel special. And, you know, we used to have so much class in our fan base, in our team, in our standards, and they're slowly slipping away, unfortunately.
Yeah. Back into the live chat. There's a good one here, actually. Never replaced David Dean. No, we didn't.
No,
we didn't.
No, we did not.
No.
Yeah. Would it be so wrong to try a 4-4-2 formation, having Orba and Laka terrorizing the defense, wingers either side? I'll try Pepe and Willian, Tierney, Saliba, Gabriel, and Niles in the defense.
It's like we're just chucking mud at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, and hoping it sticks.
Yeah, hoping
because
it sticks.
If we do have a good result at Ellen Road or at home to Wolves, or if we win against Manchester United, people will think that is the solution. When it goes far deeper than that. It goes far deeper than that. And as I say, for me, it's about the owner now. I can't see, and I'll go on record as saying I do not expect Arsenal to make any significant progress in terms of being where we want to be until Stan Kroenke is gone.
Yeah. Arteta always preached about consistency with players. That's all I'm asking of him. Hold his players responsible and play our best players in their best positions. Saliba won't play after the rumours of his mother. Well, it's not a rumour. His mother did pass away. If that's true, I wouldn't expect him back until December. Yes, but we can't change the situation, and it's been talked about so much. We need to focus on the Arsenal and not on Ozil. Moaning about it isn't solving anything. Thank you for that, David.
Right.
Trying to
spot on.
Just can't get away from it, can we? We can't get away from it. Last few before we finish this one. The Assembled, good evening, says there might be a problem for Arteta. The players are behind our number 10. The manager isn't Emery. Part 2 could be starting.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
But if you had a strong owner, do you think the likes of Danny Fisman, David Dean, Ken Fryer, and Peter Hill wouldn't nip that in the bud straight away?
Yeah.
They'd be calling board meetings at unsavoury hours to get this over the line within 24 hours.
Dearie me. Colin Young, good evening. He says, here's my energy. Orba is underperforming. I'm believing it's being played, but Arteta truly believes he belongs on a wing. Then the reality is Orba has won a spot on the seats. Listen, I've always said as well, you've got to play players who are on form, not players by the reputation. I think Orba and Laka, they're off form. And is Arteta going to drop them? No, he isn't. He's not going to drop them. Okay, last few before we wrap this one up, I believe. Emery messed up the top 4 by picking backup players to play in important games while we had top 4 in our hands. Why don't you guys point out that what he did wrong? That's what I don't like. Criticize him too. James.
Can I take that one, please?
Yeah, go for it.
Right. First and foremost, Mube Guna is a great addition to this podcast. He's a great, funny man, and I will always respect his opinion. But we didn't lose top 4 with 6 games to go. We lost top 4 after a very difficult December, after winning for Derby, losing away to Southampton, losing away to West Ham in the new year. And that's where we lost top 4, not the last 6 games. Unai Emery also asked players that were too comfortable at Arsenal to do things that they couldn't do or they didn't want to do. But he's got every right to ask them to do these things. So why shouldn't he ask Koscielny to do something different? But oh no, Koscielny wasn't interested in that because he was kept too comfortable by Arsene Wenger. Laurent Koscielny played over 250 times for Arsenal, and I still can't quite believe it. Really, I can't. Unai Emery asked players to do certain things that they didn't and they couldn't do, but he's got every right to test the water to see what they can do. And look at Villarreal. Villarreal have got some great players, and they all believe in him. They all believe in him. And I think he'll do an excellent job. He could have done an excellent job for Arsenal. He got us to our first European final for 13 years. We got knocked out of the last 32 the following season, but that was swept under the carpet because it was Arteta's first season. Okay, most people have first seasons at lower clubs. Unai Emery managed Lorica. He also managed Valencia, also managed Sevilla. Chris Wilder started out at Alfreton Town. Klopp started out at Mainz. It's the managerial journey. And I just think that Arteta, I mean, I'm always going to be in a minority. I hope to get to speak to him one day. And should I speak to Unai Emery, then this will be the first point on my agenda.
Yeah, here. He goes on to say that you guys act like Emery did a great job and got sacked. It was fully deserved. But my issue with this, Uwe Guna, I've said to you on many occasions, is that just because Unai Emery lost games, it doesn't mean you have to ask for him to be sacked.
Yeah.
Managers are going to lose games. That is the nature of football. Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
But just because we lose games, it doesn't mean he deserved to be sacked. No, he didn't deserve to be sacked. So what's going to happen with Mikel Arteta? Because he loses a string of games, are you going to ask him for him to be sacked? That is not the Arsenal way, James. That is not the Arsenal way.
But I worry that he will end up with a worse record.
Yeah, well, he will. He will.
And he will end up with a worse record, and people, these are the same people that are saying, my manager, my G, my manager. He's got no experience. He's got no experience whatsoever. I go back to my last Arsenal live game before COVID against Sheffield United in January of this year. We were winning 1-0, looking comfortable. Chris Wilder makes 3 subs. Arteta has no answer. And they equalised 15 minutes before the end. They could have won the game. I come out of the stadium and all people were saying Sheffield United are rubbish. We should be above them. And I tried to explain to them that Sheffield United are everything that we are not. Now the tables have turned where Arsenal are improving and Chris Wilder is struggling at the bottom of the table. But, things can change very quickly in football. But Sheffield United believe in their manager, believe in their players, and don't have a fan base where it's all about them. It's all about the like, it's all about the retweet, it's all about the prestige. Well, as someone who's also on Twitter, my priorities with professional players and managers are much more important, because if I was known for being if I was known for getting ahead of myself and thinking I was something special, I would never get to interview a professional again. And I know what's important, which is bringing the human elements of professional footballers for people to read and for people to understand and learn something more about the game.
James, we're not the only one. Colin Young says, Unai Emery had us in the Europa League final, 1 point from 4th place, 2 points from 3rd. Where does Arteta, the Tinker Man, have us right now?
Yeah. That's a fantastic point. I think that's the point of the night, really, from Colin. I think we had it a couple of weeks ago with some really great points that were raised. And as I say, it's not a competition about who makes the best point, but I just think it's an excellent point. And we're always going to be in the minority, but the proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be in the pudding. The table doesn't lie, records don't lie, and we shall see how things go.
Absolutely. Larry says, I think Ozil's Matthew is beginning to work. Show face in the team. What's your thoughts, guys? Ralph.
Oh,
We spoke
man,
about this morning, didn't we?
we did. We
Yeah.
did. It's getting tiring. And I said this morning that you cannot have. I put it to you, Alex. I said, for example, Alex, I want you to be in the team, in the squad, but I don't want you to play a part. You can do your training with the main team. You can be on the bench in maybe 1 or 2 matches, but I don't want you to play a further part in the development of the team because I'm trying to start something new. What is your overall mentality? What do you think you're going to say?
Yeah,
You're going to tell me, yeah. What? But as long as Ozil is on the wage bill, and if it's in his contract that he has to train with the main team, that is part of the problem. Your chairman could have gone up to you and say, okay, or your owner, all right, so what's happening Monday? I saw that we lost against Leicester, but leading up to the match, we've got Ozil still training. What's that all about? Well, I'll tell you what, let's just pay his contract so he can go, because he's having a detrimental effect on the team's morale. Some of his mates are still in the club, and some are I'm not going to use a negative, but at the end of the day, you cannot have a person or a profile like Ozil with the team, and the team are still thinking, well, we're lacking creativity, but our creative player is not even on the bench, is not traveling with us. It's a detrimental effect. Sometimes when somebody is disruptive, you do 1 or 2 things: you confront them, or you take them out. This is a results business, and he had his time. It's time for him to be cut out. It's time for him to be. We can't keep on having these conversations about somebody who's not playing. When was the last time he scored a goal?
All right, let me go back into the live chat. Here's one here. Here's one there for Ralph. Well, Raz, you might be old school, but you still look good for 60.
Very sharp.
Listen, Ashley D. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but I appreciate the love, but I'm not there yet. Thank you. Oh, jeez.
Sorry, James, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to follow on from Ralph's comments. The Ozil situation is now a sideshow. It's a sideshow. You've got a player, after all of a sudden deliberately tweeting on match day. He never used to do that, and now he seems to be doing it all the time, even giving score predictions as to who he thinks will score.
Yeah,
he gave a prediction last night that Arsenal were going to win 2-1. To use a common phrase, he's trolling us. He's trolling us. You know, but I actually think, and call me crazy, I think if things do get really, really bad and Arsenal suffer in form and we hang around in the bottom half of the table, I actually think that before the end of his contract, he'll play again for Arsenal.
Really?
And that's what I think. I think if things get really, really bad, and I say really, really bad, like last season, where we only won 3 games up until March, I think he'll end up playing for Arsenal again. And it's just such a strange situation. And the good thing is that it will all be over one day.
Yeah. Last time in the live chat, I got David Trowell, who's reminding everyone, oh, look, there's the like button, guys. Please help me smash the like button. It only takes a microsecond. Thank you. Sterling job there. The assemble says, Colin Young, Aubameyang missed a penalty to Spurs to give them the point that we lost top four spot. Nobody speaks about it, but Arsenal have been in a tailspin ever since. But yeah, we've given him an extension. We've thrown bucket loads of money to him. David Luiz, Suarez.
Yeah,
What's going on?
Mustafi turned down a contract extension.
Yeah.
By all accounts.
Yeah.
Lunatics are running the asylum, and this club that we love is not being run properly.
Opara says we have the players, but we lack spirit. I think we lack both. We don't have the players, and we definitely don't have the spirit. And maybe the last one here. There was a big difference between Arteta and Mourinho. Mourinho. He doesn't to relate. No sense. He means business, but Arteta, I don't know. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, I think I'll give Monty the last shout. He says, "Thank you for one of our 9,640 subscribers. Without you, there could never ever be a Cannon Foyer TV." Listen, I want to call this a Monday night show to an end. Gone for an hour 10 minutes. The hour and 10 minutes went very.
It's not just yourself. I can big you up anytime, you know that. But when you have people like James, who, as I mentioned before, his insights and his interviews with professionals, and now I think in a sense he's educating us fans about the holistic way that we should be looking at players. It's not just the fact that a team or a club will buy a player because he's a name. When you've got grassroots and they're waiting to break through, they've got to have that opportunity, that chance. If we're not given that chance, then we, in a sense, we're stifling our own development. So the way James interviews these players, past and present, and into the future now, managers as well, the way that it's an insight to the way that players are not just a number, they're not just a commodity. They are a person, and then when they have to leave the club that they love to go somewhere else, it's another way of being a complete player. But then your loyalties are split because you're trying to play, trying to perform, trying to be loved, trying to do the right thing. So James's insight is amazing. I think I applaud James, and I think everyone else who follows James as well. You got to see this guy. The work he does is amazing.
Yeah, and I've met James.
You've met James. I've yet to meet James.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Ralph. I always say
no problem at all.
Is the most important. I always say the next interview is the most important. I've got upcoming publications with the likes of Scottish international Nicola Doherty, Scunthorpe manager Neil Cox, David Bates, who's currently playing for Cercle Brugge, who also played for Hamburg in Germany. So many interesting stories. To give you a little bit of a sneak preview, tomorrow I will be speaking to Matt Sadler of Walsall, and also Aston Villa fans might remember, and Derby fans might remember, Ian Taylor. I'll be speaking to him tomorrow. So many interesting interviews coming up. So onwards and upwards, as I say.
I have to get my store manager. He's an avid Aston Villa fan, so I'll nudge him on that, and then he'll follow you as well.
Yeah, my interview with Graham Fenton was released a couple of weeks ago, and we spoke about Aston Villa, and we will definitely be talking about Aston Villa with Ian Taylor tomorrow. So lots of different interviews coming up, but every player has a story to tell. I mean, just to round it off, my last interview is with a player who played his football in Morocco and in Belarus. It's a world game. It's a world game, and this is Momo Yansana, who harbours ambitions of one day playing for Barcelona. But it was great to hear his story about playing in Morocco, playing in Belarus. You know, football isn't just confined to one little island. It's a world game, and it's nice to bring out his story. And people often ask me what my favourite interview is. I never comment on what's the favourite one, because I always say there's watershed moments. You know, when you've got the assistant chief executive of the PFA, Simon Barker, commending my work, when I get lovely messages from Craig Brown of the Scotland national team about the courtesy and doing things properly, it makes me very proud. And hopefully one day there's a media position at a professional club waiting for me sooner rather than later.
Definitely.
There is. Yeah. All right. So before I end this one, got Monty just saying thank you to Ralph, James, Alex, and David. But you know what? Thank you to
Monty.
Live viewers. That's what the numbers got above us.
Thank you.
Got live viewers. So thank you to each and every one of you spending your Monday night on Canon 4 TV. I mean, we're not Amazon Prime. We're just Canon 4 TV. So I do appreciate that, and of course, I've got just Monty backing us up, just saying thank you to all the Gunners, the Gooners spending their time with us. Greatly appreciate it.
Definitely.
And of course, David, the other moderator, kind of backed up with his own comments
Yes.
as well. I haven't seen no Goonalicious words there, Ralph. No
Yeah. Where's the Goonalicious gone?
Yeah. But listen, again, just thank you. And my opening words to you is, again, as always, if you're new and you're wondering, should I subscribe to Canafoy TV? Subscribe to Canafoy TV, so you can be part of the bigger community here on this wonderful channel. We're making our way to 10,000 subscribers, and it's because of every one of you been watching us over the last almost 3 years. February 2018. The time has flown so very, very quick. But thank you so very much again. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. UK time, to give you more live Arsenal news. I think Ralph, are you back with me again tomorrow morning?
No, I'm training. I've got some training to do tomorrow, so I might catch you in the evening or the following morning, if that's okay.
See?
If I'm allowed.
See, he's lacking. He doesn't have the nutrition like I do. Human element.
Yes, thank you.
Sort yourself out.
Joker.
And what I'll do is, before we finish, I'll put James Rowe's Twitter handle, which is at James Rowe NL, in the comments box, so you can go over and follow him and see all his wonderful interviews as well.
Thank you very much.
James, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back on Canafoy TV, talking about Arsenal and the world of football. It's an education for me, at least. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for the kind words. You're more than welcome, and I look forward to next time.
There you go. Next week, Monday, James will be back with me. And in regards to my brother Ralph, again, it's a pleasure to always have my brother, my co-host, back on Canafoy TV. So, guys, good evening to each and every one of you, or wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, look after your family, and I shall see you tomorrow,